Welcome to Backyards and Bevvies. Grab your favorite bevy, pull up a chair, and enjoy the ride. Hey, B&B fam. This podcast is sponsored to you by BetterHelp, H-E-L-P. Is there something getting in the way of your happiness? I know when I traveled the world, I had many days where BetterHelp's worldwide service of licensed professional therapists could have helped me speak to someone no matter where I was in the world about whatever was happening with my life, and with zero judgment. With their ability to match me with a therapist that best fits me, I know my mental health would have been way better back then. Believe me, I needed it. But I'm here to share a way for you to take back control of your mental health by telling you about BetterHelp's awesome services they have for you to talk with a pro about your life through their app or just online. Whether it is a video session or some simple messaging, their team is here to help. I went to check out the app for myself just to see how easy it was to use, and after a series of questions, I was told I would be able to start matching with a therapist in under 48 hours. And what is super rad is that it's affordable and they even offer financial aid too. So come join the 2 million users that have already been helped and gain back control of your mental health by visiting betterhelp.com/backyards for 10% off your first month. Remember, BetterHelp is therapy done securely online. Don't forget to use the special code BACKYARDS and let BetterHelp, H-E-L-P, help you to start living a happier life today. And we're live in the backyard today.
Hooray.
It's a beautiful winter day.
It is not winter.
Okay, it's almost fall though.
Almost.
It is almost fall. It's crazy. This year has flown by. I feel like just like 3 days ago, it was January. And people were still locking up and...
Yeah.
Now everything's back open.
I know.
I mean, everything. Like, literally, like the...
Has been.
It's crazy, but it was summer. We went through the whole hot spell here.
So hot.
Hot fog.
Hot
fog Wednesdays, and then all of a sudden it was like, whoa, temperatures are starting to drop in the morning again.
It's still warm. It's definitely hot, but it's not as hot.
Yeah. Well, and the biggest sign of fall coming back around is sports.
Sports are back.
Sports are back.
Woohoo!
It's weird to me, like, now that I have more time at home, I notice sports more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, whoa, they really only take, like, some sports only really take a couple months off.
Yeah, for sure.
Like hockey is one that they don't really take a whole giant, 6 months off.
I think football is the shortest season.
College
of any
football and
sport.
football, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, I think basketball takes a pretty decent amount off. I feel
baseball is super long.
Baseball goes forever. What is it, 186 games or something like that?
I don't know, but April through October.
Yeah. And then English football, it's like that never stops. Where it's already back on, and I feel like it just ended.
Yeah, very true.
So it's cool, but I mean, we are competitive. We've talked about it on the show a dozen times by now. We love motorsports. So, like right now the motocross season's going on. So Supercross is early in the year, motocross is late in the summer. Yeah, they just did the big race here in Tennessee, Loretta Lynn's, for all like the amateurs and stuff, which is
we'll
cool.
Have to go to that sometime.
Heck yeah. It's dusty. Dusty, dirty, but I mean, maybe one of our little ones might race.
Maybe.
Boy, girl, who knows?
You never know.
And then F1, they take a little... This is what their summer break is what they call it, right?
Yeah, it's back next weekend. They take like a month off.
Yeah. And I don't even think
full of drama.
I really highly doubt they take the drivers.
There's just no races.
Yeah, there's no races.
Yeah.
They're doing stuff.
They're trading drivers and figuring out how to be better the second half of the season.
Yeah. And then college football is like right around and I love college football. That's one of my favorite Saturday. English football, college football, NFL on Sundays, sure. I mean...
NFL is multiple days right now because it's preseason.
Yeah, they're all over and our buddy Todd, he's the...
Offensive coordinator
for the Titans.
Go Titans.
So we got a chance to go hang out with him, but he was like, literally, I have 3 weeks.
This is my last day.
Yeah, he like came back from Florida. It was like, I literally have a couple days to hang, so let's hang now. Because we invited him to a show that we're going to, and he's like, nope, I got this team coming into town, and I got to
training camp and doing all the things.
Yeah. I mean, that's a busy schedule.
Yeah. Definitely.
An athlete, I mean, we're competitive at heart, but I mean, to be an athlete, you really have to have there's a whole different dedication to it. When we were hanging out with him, there was a couple coaches there, and I was talking to them, and they were like, I was talking about my old life of being a roadie and traveling a lot, and they're like, oh, I thought I was busy. I was like, yeah, but you are busy. When you're on, you're on.
You are on. Yeah, absolutely.
But it was cool. And so we're, we're in the backyard. It's a nice chill day, and we thought that we'd bring up a little bit of all the things fall.
I mean, things fall.
I think I even saw a sign like pumpkin spice lattes.
Oh yeah, pumpkin stuff is everywhere again. It's back. Literally not even September yet.
The Luke Sky from Star Trek, Luke
Skywalker from Star Wars.
Oh, okay. But like the girls that wear the boots and they all look like him with the vest on.
You're silly. It's funny. I actually got an email yesterday that we can buy tickets now for Halloween haunted houses that are right down the street. And I'm like, we are so far from Halloween.
It's crazy.
Right?
And think back last September. Wait, we're not in September yet, are we? We're only like a week away, right?
Yeah, like a week and a half. Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were doing some of the very first podcasts.
I know.
A year ago.
We're close.
And yeah, I mean, this year's freaking flown by. It's crazy.
The next year is going to fly by even faster because we're going to have 2 nuggets.
Talk about competitive.
Just thinking about it.
Talk about competitiveness.
Yeah.
If this house wasn't already like rowdy, rough, loud, and competitive,
about to be even more so.
I mean, our dominoes competition that we have going on. I mean, it's 6 games that we've been playing.
You FaceTimed me at work yesterday to laugh at me because you won one of the games.
I'd say I was laughing. I was joyfully.
You were like, I won dominoes. I'm like, let me see my baby and leave me alone.
Well, I was going to FaceTime you already. I just figured that I would do a celebratory dance on top of it. I don't think there's anything wrong with a little bit of celebration when you win.
Yeah. You don't just celebrate. You rub it in.
Oh. Yeah, but you got to take the good. You got to take the good with the bad,
Sure.
I really don't talk about the L's. I only really celebrate the W's. But yeah, so we were talking about like all the things sports and I had asked you. Actually, was it the other day you had made a comment, and I thought it was really funny. And, I was like, we should bring it up today. But you were asked to play rugby at one point in your life, weren't you?
I was. Well, yeah, they were recruiting. I was already in college. I think I was it might have been actually my spring semester freshman year. I had just transferred to UMass. Okay. It was either that or the fall of my sophomore year. And I had played football like my whole life, like for fun with all my guy friends and my brother's friends. And then I did powder puff all 4 years of high school. So football was really my thing, but they didn't really have a powder puff football team or anything like that in college, but they had rugby. And so the women's rugby team hit me up and was like, hey, would you be interested in playing rugby? And I went to one of their practices and I stayed for like 15 minutes and I was like, absolutely not. There is no way I will survive if I play this sport. No way. So yeah, I did not end up playing rugby.
I mean, you're feisty. You probably would have done
pretty...
but they
were, I mean...
Feistier?
Not feistier, but they were like twice my size. I was by far the smallest person out there.
In that little...
Yeah. And not just like taller than me, but I mean like these girls were muscular, like very, very strong, straight beast mode, could like run you over. And I knew I would get destroyed. So. Well,
we were watching the Arsenal All or Nothing documentary, and we were coming up at the end of, like, I don't know, number 6. I think there's like 8 in there. And we had just noticed that there's a bunch of others. There's like Man City and a couple
Tottenham Hotspurs.
But then I noticed there was one from New Zealand, and it was from the All Blacks.
Yeah, which is the men's rugby team down there.
It's the national team. So, but we clicked on it, and that's when the conversation of you going and almost being a rugby superstar came up.
Nowhere close. It was pretty intense to watch.
Well, I mean, it's an intense sport. I don't really know too much about rugby other than I would not mess with a rugby guy.
No.
If hockey or rugby, I probably would never challenge to anything.
Yeah, it was
even
was
a drinking
intense.
competition.
Yeah, I know. Because hockey players can drink. I have been friends with some professional hockey players, and man, they can put them back. They rage.
We ended up partying with a, I guess, minor league hockey team one time in Canada. Mm-hmm. I hurt.
Oh, the hangovers are brutal after hanging out with them. They go out and they go hard. Shut every place down, and then after party.
They thought we were celebrities. I thought they were celebrities.
Yeah.
And we were just, the energy in that bar that night, I mean, was top notch. Mm-hmm. They were carrying me. I mean, it was wild. I was chugging beers. It hurt me. Yeah. And I've been drinking beer a long time. And these guys were probably, I mean, I was probably 37. No. 35 at the time, 34 at the time. Now, yeah, that sounds a little more right. I was like, wait, I'm only 39 right now.
I was like, 2 years ago. I don't think you were partying with hockey players 2 years ago.
No, it wasn't 2 years ago. But yeah, hockey players are another group of guys that are just...
They can throw down.
Well, just think about it. They can fight on two skinny blades.
Yeah, it's crazy to watch. It's absolutely crazy.
And have great balance doing it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how they do it.
When I toured with Carrie Underwood, her husband, Mike.
Yeah, Mike Fisher.
Such a humble guy. You would never expect that dude was a hockey player and that could throw a punch.
And he was the hockey player for the Preds for a long time.
Forever. I mean,
that's how the whole catfish thing got started, with people throwing catfish onto the ice.
His brother would sneak
I think it might have been his brother,
under
and
his shirt.
Fans started doing it, and just ridiculous.
But he was such a gentle beat. I think that's what why rugby and hockey are so over the top, is that off the pitch or off the ice, they're just very humble, quiet.
Some of them
love this. Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be one or two that are like, really rowdy. But for the most part, you don't really hear about rugby or, hockey players getting into a lot of trouble. Let's just say. When was the last time you read the news and turn it on? It was like, hockey.
In the news, not really.
That's what I mean. Like, you hear more of like NFL or, like basketball players. They're marrying the Kardashians and being wild.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like maybe they hold their aggression in really well for when it's time to get out there.
Yeah, they save it for the ice, I guess.
Or the pitch.
Yeah.
Because those legs.
Crazy big. But.
So we were talking about all this stuff, and you and me were laughing about all of that, and like, oh my gosh, and I was laughing at you being a rugby star.
No.
And then we got to talking a little bit more, and I was like, well, then you're Powder Puff. So what is Powder Puff? I mean, I've heard
Powder
the term.
Puff is literally just what they would call girls playing football.
Do you guys wear pads?
No, it's not tackle, it's flag football, but
I mean,
it may as well be tackle, because you end up just absolutely beating the crap out of each other. Super, super, super competitive, and usually what it would be is like it wasn't like you had like a season or anything like that. It would be like the first year I played, it was like underclassmen versus upperclassmen. Gotcha. Or it'd be like freshmen versus juniors, sophomores versus seniors, and then the winners of those games play in the championship, and it would all take place on like one day, and you would have the guys from like the varsity team would actually coach each team. So you would have like practice and stuff in the weeks leading up to it.
Gotcha.
And then, it was just for fun, and it was always done on like a random Saturday when maybe there wasn't a football game, like after the end of football season or
that makes sense.
Something like that.
That makes sense. So it's for bragging rights for the most part.
It was really just for fun when I did it for like the high school teams. But then, I mean, I played even here in Nashville.
The Turkey Bowl.
I did the Turkey Bowl for solid. Yep, did that. And then I even did co-ed intramural where like you pay to be on a team and you compete against other teams, and that was super intense. Yeah, people breaking bones and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. But football's always been my favorite sport, so I loved it.
And I think since we've started dating and talking, football has become more in my life because of you.
Oh, you're welcome.
My dad, was a giant America's team, Cowboys.
Oh, yeah, here we
go. Go Cowboys.
Woo.
Woo. Well, I mean, I think when you're born in Texas, you have to be.
That's true.
Like you can't. Like the Astros will always be one of my teams.
Mm-hmm.
The Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
I can then see obviously that. Cowboys. And then
the Titans. You got to root for the Titans.
I root for the Titans now because and our buddy coaches.
Mm-hmm.
We have a little ties to them. So you gotta support your friends and support the teams that you grew around as well. So I mean, because you're a Patriots fan as well as a Carolina Panthers fan.
Panthers more than anybody. But
and then you like the Boston
Red Sox.
Yeah. And I like the Boston Red Sox because there's like a little bit of tradition to it too, as well. And I'm not like a giant, dye, bleed any kind of color for any team really. But so I appreciate the Red Sox. I've played their amazing
Fenway
stadium.
Park. Yeah.
It's a pretty cool little place to play.
Amazing. I love that place.
Yeah. But the Preds, I think, for hockey, we had the Dallas Stars. I never really watched hockey enough to be a complete fan. So now that I live here, it's like, well,
I would cheer for the Bruins when I lived in Massachusetts, but it wasn't like I religiously watched the games and stuff.
For sure.
But I definitely think we've become such big Preds fans, especially because of my boss Narvel's love for the Predators. And he has that suite at Bridgestone, so we would go to the games and
don't talk to him while they're
don't talk to him during the game.
Do not talk to him
Just
while
pay attention and cheer.
You should be taking score, keeping track of the puck.
It's so fun going to games with him and Laura.
Well, they're giant fans.
Yeah.
I mean, I think anytime you go anywhere with someone who's a diehard of whatever you're going to go do, it just intensifies that moment that much more.
Definitely.
And we got to go during the playoffs one year, too. So, I mean, we got to see them go way up there almost to the cup.
Yeah. It was awesome.
It was pretty. I mean, I have to say, thanks NB because, I mean, it's an amazing. It's a great experience. Yeah. Great experience.
Hopefully, we'll get to go to some more games this upcoming season now that Maverick's a little older and we're a little bit more cool with like going out and about with a newborn and stuff.
I don't even think it's hot, it's cold in there. It's loud, it's cold. I mean, as much as I want to be that parent that takes my kid everywhere, sometimes it's just like, the last time we took him there, he was so bundled up the whole time, he just hated it.
Yeah, he was not having a good
Every time the horn went off.
He looked adorable, though.
Yeah, he looked great. I mean, it was like, I think sometimes that's the unfortunate nature of, like, wanting to take your kid everywhere. Is sometimes it just looks like you're carrying around, like, a handbag, for, like, an appearance. Because you have to get them all dressed up, it's like, do they really belong at a hockey game? No. I mean, he has zero idea what's happening. Right. He's just like, why am I in this big, baggy freaking coat that you have me in? You're trying to jam head muffs on me that I don't want to wear.
Yep. So cute.
But it's cute to us. To him, he's like, get me home.
Yeah. I don't really care.
Can I just lay on the floor?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
I just need to pee and poop my pants. And,
yeah, pretty much.
Did you, when you were out, like when you were in high school, did you play anything else?
I did, yeah. I actually I was very competitive. I've always been very competitive in just everything, but also in sports. So in high school, I did volleyball.
Okay.
And I did softball.
I can picture you in those little bloomers.
Mm-hmm. Volleyball, softball, cheerleading.
Wait, I'm not done picturing you those. Okay. Continue.
I have yearbooks you can see.
My mind can go to it.
You got it. You figured it out. Yeah. And then powder puff and just like playing football in general with friends.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a busy thing to be a part of school sports.
Yeah. Big
Especially
time.
if you're smart, because then because you have to hold a certain grade point average too to play, right? For the most part.
I believe so. I was never near, like, at risk of not being able to play, so I'm not even sure what the rules were, because I always had pretty good grades.
Nerd.
Whatever. Smart. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I hope our kids get your smartness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like every person I know that has done some sort of high school sport is just always busy. I think, and then
It's a lot. I mean, you're exhausted from, like, practice. It's like school, practice, then figure out when you're going to be able to do homework, and then figure out how to have a life.
Which do you think? I think. I mean, I know they're all hard, but I feel like the ones that seem to be doing the most are always the track people or the track and field people.
Yeah, I never wanted to run.
Because they just were always either out at the track running, or they were out at an event running, or they were just running.
Yeah, just running in
just
general.
running in general.
Yeah.
That exhausted me. I feel like the easiest ones were the tennis ones. The tennis kids always seem to have the most fun. They
Yeah.
always seem to be out on the...
I tell you what sport was intense that I never, ever played. I mean, I didn't even know what it was until we moved to Massachusetts, was lacrosse.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and women's lacrosse was just as intense as the men's in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, those girls were vicious.
I never
They
even...
had sticks to, like, hit each other with and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean...
I never knew what lacrosse was until I watched American Pie.
And they played in skirts. The girls literally play in skirts.
Mm.
Ridiculous. I think they let them wear shorts now, but when I was in high school, they wore skirts with, like, shorts underneath.
Interesting.
It looked like they were in, like, a private school uniform, running around with, like, mouth guards and just beating each other up with these crazy hockey sticks. Basically playing
funny.
hockey on grass
That's wild.
is what lacrosse is, but with a ball instead of a puck.
That's interesting. Yeah, we didn't have lacrosse. We had the FFA. We had a bunch of
Is
kids.
that farming?
Yeah, farming.
Okay.
But it's just funny, like when you go from one part of the country
Yeah.
to the other side of the country, you know, like how things change. Like
Yeah.
lacrosse is clearly an East Coast kind of sport. Maybe
Yeah.
like Midwest, East Coast.
High school hockey was wild, too.
Yeah, we didn't have high school hockey.
We actually, you know what's funny? I just remembered this. In high school, our hockey team was really good. And we would, when we played against our arch rivals, Barnstable, we would actually throw fish onto the ice.
No way.
Yeah. Fish and little, like, calamari and stuff like that. We would sneak it into the games and throw it over the ice. I forgot that we did that. So I guess, obviously, it's not only a tradition with the Predators.
Yeah, it must be some sort of
Who
crazy
knows?
hockey thing.
Some New England something, maybe.
We used to throw tortillas.
Did you really?
Yeah. But I mean, we were like the place I grew up was like 95% Hispanic.
Yeah.
So like, it was just, I think it was one of those things just to taunt the other team. So you
Throw
threw
tortillas at them. That's hilarious. Kids are
Now,
so dumb.
we wouldn't I didn't go to enough of those. I was never sober enough usually to go and like stand at the games, but I would see people or I'd hear stories of the tortilla throwing. So I couldn't explain to you exactly why they would throw the tortillas,
but they threw tortillas.
and I think it was only for certain like
Certain games, certain teams.
certain teams. Yeah, tradition.
Because you didn't play sports really in high school, right?
No, I was. I made junior, senior drinking team every year.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's quite the accomplishment when you're 17
Yeah, I
and
have
aren't supposed to be drinking for another 4 years.
I think I made it when I was actually 14. I made
Were
the
you,
first team.
You were like a redshirt freshman.
No, they put me on first. I was on first squad when I was about 14.
Oh, my gosh.
I have this shirt.
Your poor liver is probably like
It's healing now, I think.
shriveled.
I think it's healed now.
It's definitely better now.
It's better now.
Yeah.
There for a while, it was definitely not a healthy liver.
Probably not.
Do have a shirt. It's like, I think it's my senior drink off shirt.
Oh, okay.
And it's drinking beer, having fun. We're the class of 2001.
Oh, my goodness.
And there's like a dude with like two girls, you know, like wrapped around his legs. He's holding like kegs on his shoulders.
Oh, my gosh. Like your dream back then.
I mean, I think I was living it.
Yeah, pretty much. Do they design the T-shirt after you?
No,
basically?
it wasn't me. He was too studly.
Oh.
It was clearly not me.
No. I think
he-
you're pretty studly.
I was too short.
No.
No, yeah, I never played sports, and I played sports up until I think I was in 5th grade.
Okay.
I did like baseball.
So not even middle school.
I got into skateboarding and smoking weed
Gotcha.
at a really young age, and I loved it.
There you go.
Uppers, yeah, smoking weed and riding my skateboard around causing trouble with Neil.
I can see
and
that.
Andy.
I can definitely see that.
Yeah, but and when by the time we had the desert too to go drink at. Like I'm sure some people have heard this before, maybe not, but we were right next to Juarez, Mexico. So
Right.
like first time I went to a bar, I was 13 and ordered my first drink.
That is insane.
Yeah, so there was a lot of things that was enticing me not to go do anything extracurricular except go party.
Yeah.
It was way more fun. I didn't have
way more fun.
And if I messed up, no one was like, it was all on
you
me.
didn't lose the game for everybody.
Yeah, I didn't lose the high school game. But back to that shirt, the senior one, we drank a keg. I think it was 10 of us. Because it was like 10 and 10. It was like 10 seniors versus 10 juniors.
Okay.
Or maybe 20 juniors. Maybe they got 5 extra because we got to choose the beer and their keg was hot.
Gross.
So we'd probably give them like Milwaukee's Beast or something like that.
Ugh.
And we probably got Coors Light
I
or
drank
something.
so
Or
much
Keystone
of that
probably.
in college.
I mean, I love all of them, but
Ew,
not
no,
a full
the Beast
keg
is not good.
Yeah, not a full keg
No.
that's warm.
Ugh. Warm keg beer is just
Yeah.
disgusting.
And we went out to the desert. I can't remember which spot in the desert, but yeah, it was like if it wasn't senior ditch day, it was on another day. 'Cause we drank every weekend, so it didn't really matter. But I think we drank the keg in just shy of like 10 minutes.
What?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we were hammered.
I used to love going to those parties in college where you would go to like the empty the keg parties, and it was just what was left over from like the rager the night before.
Yeah, we usually didn't have those.
But it was intense because it would be like a race to empty the kegs as quickly as possible and then get to the bars.
Yeah, we finished the keg. We were all hammered. Well, at least we were still standing for the most part. And then we went to Mexico that night, from what I remember.
Did you do the empty the keg games where you would like be in a line and everybody had their cup and literally they would fill the cup and you would chug it and get right back in line until the keg was empty?
I don't.
Very tough.
I don't remember that one. I remember we did a lot of keg stands.
Yep.
We were definitely a keg partying school. We weren't like we would do cases, but inevitably you would just get the case for the drive out to the kegger.
Gotcha. Would you do case races?
No, we just honestly, I think it was more just it felt like I feel like one of our friends must have watched Dazed and Confused, passed around the rule book, and then it was a Dazed and Confused every weekend.
Gotcha.
Like there was parties and there was games, but like I wasn't introduced to a lot of these drinking games until way after I'd already left high school.
Gotcha.
But we played drinking games. And so like, the other week I brought it up that someone who wanted to talk about like Flip Cup, for instance, right? So that's why kind of how we got on the subject about like, we're competitive. So even back in high school, I wasn't in any kind of like real high school sport.
Right.
I rode dirt bikes, but I wasn't like good at it. Like,
right.
I had fun and I could jump.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like, I think I got like
competing.
I got like a third place trophy at like one point in my life.
So that's good.
Yeah, it was fun. But I did it more for the chicks and for the party, like the atmosphere. My whole life has been, how can I never grow up?
Right.
Like I have and now it doesn't make sense that much because I am growing up, but I have the Peter Pan quote tattooed on the side of me with Peter Pan and Wendy and all the crocodile getting,
it keeps you young.
There is a certain point, but even in high school, I used to look at it like, where's the next party? And so to me, it was like, let's have fun as opposed to going and like being super strict about anything.
Gotcha.
So that's probably why I never got into them.
Gotcha.
And that's why it's probably taken me so long to eventually love sports the way that I do, because racing was just I felt like that was always independent.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like Flip Cup to me, I was like, what the F is a Flip Cup?
Champ. Flip Cup champ of my school.
Yeah. Well, we played like Asshole and Circle of Death were our big ones.
See, we played that. We didn't play that in college.
Well, we played it in high school.
Yeah. I guess really when I started playing that. So in high school, I was still really a pretty good kid. Like I would go to the parties every once in a while, and I would maybe have like 1 or 2 drinks. But I pretty much just went to hang out with everybody because I was terrified of getting in trouble. So, but then it was interesting living on the Cape. You had, especially our town, Falmouth, like in the wintertime, tiny. Like, back then, I think like 30,000 people lived there in the winter. So really, really small. So like everybody knew everybody.
Gotcha.
In the wintertime. And then in the summer season, basically from like May through the end of September, there was just a massive influx of people who had like summer homes on the Cape or would come rent houses or whatever. And it would go from like 30,000 people to like 100,000 people. So our summer friends that would come down every summer, that was really when the drinking games would get played. Because we would go to their like beach houses and they would throw big parties. And you would play Asshole and Kings and, you know, Kings. Beer pong and flip cup and stuff like that. But definitely got more into flip cup and beer pong in college.
At UMass?
I was big at UMass, yeah. Being in a sorority and being part of Greek life, I mean, drinking games and stuff were just like, I mean, that was how you pre-gamed before you went to the bars if you had a fake ID or if you were old enough to go.
True.
So we had during Greek week one year, I think it was my junior year.
Yeah.
We had, behind one of the fraternities, they set up all these like fold-out tables or whatever in a long line going all the way down their yard. I mean, if you could imagine like the length of our backyard, if you're watching, imagine just a row of tables.
It's like 400
connected.
feet.
So many tables. And you had X number of representatives from each sorority and fraternity.
Oh my gosh.
On a team or whatever. So it would be like 5 fraternities and sororities on one side, 5 fraternities and sororities on the other side, and you were competing to see who would win. And most times when you play flip cup, it's, you know, like you flip the cup and you go down like a relay race or whatever, and then the game is over. Well, the way that we played was Survivor Flip Cup, which is where you still have to, if you had 50 people on your team,
you still gotta finish.
Which was basically the number of people that were on each side of this table. You if you lost a round, you had to eliminate a player, and it was the other team that got to eliminate the player. So they were trying to eliminate the best people, and you still had to drink the same number of cups. Just because you didn't have the same number of players, it didn't mean you didn't drink their cup.
Whoa.
The people just had to like man up and drink extra cups. So eventually it got all the way down to me versus one other girl on the other side of the table, and we had to drink, I don't know if it was 50, but it was at least 20 cups.
Oh my gosh.
Drink every single cup. So you're pounding beer, flipping the cup, pounding more beer all the way down. And I ended up winning for our team.
Cow.
And then I stumbled over to a tree and sat down, and somebody gave me a loaf of bread.
After you already put a loaf of bread inside you.
Oh my gosh. I ate a couple pieces of bread, and then I was like, all right, I think I need to go to bed. I'll see y'all later.
Yeah.
My shining moment.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think Flip Cup is fun. I've never been into it, I think, as much as you have. I really enjoy beer pong. I think it's a pretty... It's like chugging... I don't get me wrong. Like, a beer bong is fun.
Oof, I only did that like twice. That was too much bubbles.
But it goes so fast that, you know, like, you can really just ruin your day.
Yeah.
Like, too quick.
Easily.
Beer pong, though, I feel like you have a chance to at least be up for a good solid 4 hours. Yeah,
you definitely do. I think maybe that's why I liked Flip Cup more, was just because sometimes beer pong would just take so long, and you're like, I just want to drink.
Yeah. Well, that's why you always have one in the other hand, though.
Yeah, true.
I'm a righty, so I always had a bevy in the other hand, no matter what.
There you go. Plus, back then, I mean, we were all crazy enough to actually drink the beer out of the cup after the disgusting, dirty ball got thrown into it. Even though you had those like water cups to dunk it in and stuff. And nowadays, I actually saw a meme the other day on Instagram, or it was a TikTok or something, where this person was talking about like how disgusting our generation is for actually doing that. And they're like, we just put water in the cups and then drink our drink out of like a separate cup.
And then
like,
dunk your dirty hand into it.
Right. But it was kind of part of the point. Like, especially if it takes forever, like you ended up having to drink this nasty skunked warm beer, and you learned your lesson. You better get better. You
better get better. You know, Jody, who I lived with in Houston, she was a beer pong champ.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime that we played when I lived with them anywhere, I tried to have her on my team because the girl can shoot.
I love it.
Hammered or not.
I would love to have a beer Olympics in our yard at some point. We have a great place where we could have a slip and slide. We could do all the things.
I love drinking games up until about 2 a.m, where you're just drunk enough to where you're only really sipping whatever you have, Yeah. And I'm at the age now where I used to be able to probably go to like 4 or 5 easily. No, none of that like mouth sweats, none of that stuff. Now, you start I get drunk a little quicker than I used to, and that was always my most hated moment, when you be at a bar or you be playing somewhere and all of a sudden you're losing.
Yeah.
And you're just drinking. And every sip you're just like, okay, I just got to hold this together one more time. But I can look back on moments where in high school, those were my most terrifying moments of like playing like Circle of Death.
Oh my gosh.
You're in like the third ring.
Yeah.
And you're like, there's 3 waterfalls still available.
The worst. Waterfall is the worst.
And you're watching
in those
like
games.
the one person who can just somehow just.
And they'll drink, like they will have just opened a fresh beer. And they will drink the entire thing. And you're like, I'm going to die. I'm literally going to die.
And there's always one person in the game that's like,
oh, yeah, that's watching you like, you didn't drink the whole time. You have to do it again. So vicious.
Counting your seconds.
I was definitely that person sometimes.
I was
the competitive side of me. I'm like, you didn't do it. You have to do it again.
Especially if I had just been, like, if we had just played asshole and everybody tormented me. It was all right, game on now.
Definitely.
I want blood.
Yep.
I want all of you to throw up.
Definitely.
I watched a friend. I think it was definitely a Circle of Death because we were sitting, and that was the other terrifying part is getting up to go to the bathroom. Had to take your drink.
Yep.
Had to. Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy.
I learned this lesson by watching one of my friends pour Everclear into the top of someone's beer.
That is horrible. Oh, and then a waterfall gets drawn as soon as they get back from the bathroom.
I'm pretty sure we set it up somewhere where it was like, all right, we are running out of time. We are all hammered. Let's just get more hammered.
Brutal.
Absolutely
brutal.
I thought it would, I look at my upbringing and it was pretty rough and pretty fun, and there wasn't a lot of, there wasn't like structure to the point of where it was like I had to do anything, my parents were divorced or whatever, and that's fine, like that, but that didn't play into it. I just never got into the high school the way that some people do, So, sometimes I think about it, I'm like, man, if my kids and then I'm like, I would be dumb to think that they're never going to party like that.
Sure, they might party. I'm hoping that they save their partying for college.
I honestly don't care as long as they're responsible enough to know to call me.
Yes, they have to call
because that's one thing I didn't do. Looking back on it, I made a lot of dumb moves by like getting in my Ford Escort and driving drunk.
Yeah.
Too many times.
Don't do that.
And by no means am I encouraging young drinking. This is not
definitely not.
This is not a show to encourage it. This is just a show of reality. Like, there is partying and then there's okay, you've gone too far. And I think that if I was to say that our little ones went down any road
is right.
The drinking of the beer and a beer pong atmosphere, I would be like, okay, but call me when you're done.
Yeah, I know you're going to do this, but do not get in a car with somebody else that's been drinking, and do not get behind the wheel if you have been drinking. Not even one.
Yeah.
You call me,
and then I'll drive you
You
through
won't be in trouble. I will drive you home.
99-cent Jack in the Box tacos on the way home.
Yeah, definitely.
Trash can by the bed.
Blech. You barf, you pick it up.
I had so much fun looking back on those moments, and when someone brought it up, like, oh, you should talk about beer drinking sports, it's like, oh my gosh, there's, then there's the movie Beer, was it, the Super Trooper guys,
Beer Fest?
Beer Fest.
Das Boot, Das Boot, Das Boot.
And see, when that one came out, there was a lot of games that I was like, well, okay, well, some of these are just complete fabrications.
For sure.
But there's, variations. I think, like, our parents probably played quarters.
Oh, I'm sure they did. Yeah.
Like, the evolution.
We played quarters in college.
I never played
Sometimes.
it. Never played it. Never.
If we, didn't have beer pong balls, then you might play quarters.
And that was the thing, though, is I think that we, our friends came from that Dazed and Confused where it was like, all right, we can play pool or we can play a drinking game, but if we're not going to go so far as to, just start making up games just to get drunk.
Right.
We'll just stand outside, smoke cigarettes, act cool, and sip
chug
beer.
beers,
I mean, they're going to go into our belly however we
Either
put them in there,
way.
so if I can control how fast it's going, I'll last way longer in the night.
Yeah.
But, yeah, our parents definitely had drinking games.
For sure.
And
we'll have to ask them what games they played.
I mean, I'm going to say horseshoes was a big one.
That could be.
But I think the evolution of drinking games is now it's to an extent where it's okay, people you're playing these shot games and circles that spin and there's shots and there's all these, I see them on TikTok all the time. Yeah. I think their drinking games were horseshoes and just sipping a drink the whole time.
Right. Just hanging out.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's definitely, back in the day, probably in the wild, wild west, they would shoot beer cans off of
I could see that. Of a fence or something.
A fence post, it's
I could definitely see that happening.
So, I just think it's fun that as we've gotten to now our stage, we still play those games, which is hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
And so, one day, our kids will probably be watching us play Flip Cup in the backyard with Uncle Neil and Aunt Jody and be like, what the hell are you guys
this crazy
playing?
game?
It looks dumb.
And then we'll teach them how to play, and they'll be like, this is awesome.
Be like, wait, we play whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, that's dumb.
On that note, you need to learn this game.
Yeah. So it makes me reminisce about those good times when I do play those games because, they are fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, I don't know, there's something very fun about getting a group of people together and chugging beer that will always be something in my heart.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to getting to do that again.
The one way I never really was a big beer chugger was when you put the hole in the bottom of the can and crack it open.
Shotgunning. I used to do plenty.
Yeah. I had a friend in
I was
Florida.
never into funneling, but shotgunning I was pretty good at.
Yeah, I had a friend that was like a champ at it. He had a key that would pop it out. I mean, this is way back.
We would just use our car keys. And
that's what he did. He had he just would use his thumb and it would just open it perfectly on the bottom. It was like a science. I was like, oh my gosh.
You had to be careful not to cut your lip if you didn't, if you were not gentle with the can.
Yeah. Well, remember when Coors Light? What's funny is that even some of these companies have evolved to give you a better,
a wider mouth.
The wider
at the top.
mouth.
Yeah.
And then, was it Miller Lite or Coors Light had a notch that would create air flow in?
Oh, I do remember that. I can't remember.
And there was commercials about it. It's if you're not drinking beer fast enough,
it's
use our new extra.
We're encouraging binge drinking without encouraging binge drinking.
I think it's hysterical when I drink something that's delicious now because the thing that goes to my mind is I'm like, oh, if these would have been around when I was in high school,
dangerous.
Those Natter days.
Oh, so good.
I could drink a whole case of that. I mean, I wouldn't be standing probably, but they go down as nothing. So
They
imagine
really
putting
do.
that in a beer bong
No.
or playing beer pong with that.
Easy.
Game over.
Easy.
All day.
Yeah.
All day.
All day. So true.
But I don't know. I thought it would be fun to reminisce about some of our sporting past, seeing that
Love
you
it.
actually played sports and
Yes.
I didn't.
That's okay. You played a different kind of sport. Which is totally
2001
fine.
drinking team champion.
Team champion. Woo.
We'll wear that shirt one day.
Good job.
Great shirt. And wear it to...
If you still have it, that'd be amazing.
I do have it. I got a... I think it's in my... I found... There's probably like 3 shirts that I have from like my high school that... One is like a no fear shirt, and it's a rooster and a cat, and they're calling each other names.
Love it.
You can just imagine those names.
I'm sure I can imagine.
One is chicken.
Yeah.
The other one is.
Yep.
And then there's my drinking shirt, because I think it's just hysterical that we used to wear those through the halls.
Oh my gosh, of course.
I mean, it was like we really had a drinking team. It was crazy. In high school. Yeah, so it's going to be very hard for me to ever get mad.
You say that now.
at our children. I will have to be understanding, because I've been doing this since, for almost 30 years now.
Understanding is one thing, but they don't have to know you're being understanding.
I can have a stern talking to.
Yes.
Pixie back in my day.
Gosh. You don't want to go down this path.
Using those terms.
Yep.
So Dad was a little wild. Little.
Yeah, I don't know if little's the correct term.
He had a minor habit.
Minor, yeah. Okay. Opposite day.
Dad liked to turn it on a little.
A little bit.
One of his nicknames was 0 to 100 for a reason.
I can definitely see that. I'm pretty sure I've called you 0 to 100 many times.
Probably. I think all of my friends has called me that. But yeah, so thanks for listening to this lovely episode of the evolution of our drinking game. I mean, I think that there's probably a real true path to how many drinking games there are in the world and how they started. And, if you watch the movie Neighbors,
great movie.
Says that they were started through certain fraternities.
Yeah. I think that's all fiction for sure. But
for sure. The fun part about myths is that, like, even though we look at myths as something that happened hundreds of years ago, that, like, there's myths around today, like who actually started beer pong?
Yeah, who knows? We'll have to do some research.
And and to claim that, I mean, just go on Wikipedia and change the name.
Yeah,
to me.
Yeah, perfect. Do it.
Back in 1999, in a small town of El
Paso, Texas.
One man had a dream. To change the world of drinking forever.
I love it.
All right. On that note, we are going to bottoms these up.
Yes.
It's getting a little humid.
A little toasty out here.
Nah, it's not toasty at all. This is actually really nice. You look beautiful, by the way.
You're very sweet.
You're pregnant.
Thank you.
I hope you're pregnant.
This weight is definitely baby weight. We're going to shed this as quickly as possible.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
I don't have any extra right now. Well, I do.
You're
actually
looking
have a
great.
Right now.
Fire.
All right. Thank you. Much love.
Have a wonderful week.
Cheers. Bottoms up.
Woo.
If you do drink any of these games that we talked about, remember, drink responsibly.
Yes.
Drink
don't
only
drive.
if you're of age. Yeah, don't drink, don't drive. Wait.
And hydrate with liquid IV, and then you won't feel as terrible the next day.
Drink. Don't drive.
Correct. Yes, that's what I said.
I think I said don't drink, don't drive.
Drink, don't drive. Don't drink until you're 21 or over. And
if you're, drink liquid IV.
Yeah,
that'll help you.
Definitely. We had these back when we were big binge drinkers. It would have been way easier.
I had Dr. Pepper and Taco Bell. Well, we had Mexican food, so we had really good Mexican food.
Yeah.
So Mexican Cokes and tortas and enchiladas.
Chicken nuggets were my go-to.
That was my later in life go-to because you could get those anywhere in the world.
Yes.
But yeah, thanks BetterHelp. Remember, if you're suffering from anything and you need a little talk to anyone, it's anonymous. You can do it right from your phone via the text messaging. You don't have to do anything anymore. You don't have to go anywhere. You can do it from your couch, which is awesome. So drink responsibly. Enjoy your weekend. We have 2 more shows and then we hit 50.
Woo!
Crazy.
Super exciting.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
Cheers and bottoms up, y'all.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.